Scientists thought they understood jealousy. Then, one simple experiment with a stuffed toy dog challenged everything they thought they knew, including whether your own dog can feel jealousy too. For most of modern science, jealousy was considered an exclusively human experience. The argument went like this: jealousy requires self-awareness, the ability to picture a rival, to understand what you stand to lose, to feel the threat of being replaced. That's sophisticated, layered thinking. And dogs, the argument went, simply didn't have the cognitive machinery for it. So when a dog wedged himself between you and a house guest, the explanation was simple: attention-seeking. A trained reflex dressed up to look like something more. That explanation felt clean. Then, someone decided to actually test it. In 2014, psychologist Christine Harris at UC San Diego had spent her career studying jealousy in humans. Then she noticed her parents' border collies behaving strangely around each other, in ways that looked oddly familiar. She and her colleague, Caroline Provost, adapted a protocol originally built for 6-month-old human infants and ran it on dogs instead. 36 dogs were filmed inside their own homes, unaware they were being observed, so their behavior stayed natural. Owners did 3 things: show warm affection to an animatronic stuffed dog that moved, wagged its tail, and made sounds, paid the same attention to a jack-o'-lantern, and read a children's book out loud while ignoring the dog entirely. When owners turned to the stuffed dog, 78% of real dogs pushed their owners out of the way. 25% snapped at it. Nearly a third tried to force themselves physically between their owner and the rival. Almost none of that happened with the pumpkin. Almost none of it happened with the book. Only the thing that looked like a social competitor triggered the response. Here's where the easy answer breaks down. If this were just attention-seeking, the pumpkin should have worked just as well. It didn't. But behavior alone could only show what dogs do on the outside. It couldn't show what was happening in the brain. In 2018, Peter Cook and Gregory Burns, the same neuroscientists behind Emory's dog brain scanning research, put 13 dogs inside awake fMRI scanners while their owners fed a fake rival dog. The more aggressive dogs showed sharper activity in the amygdala, the brain's threat response region, than when the owner simply placed food in a bucket. The researchers titled their own paper with a question mark: Jealousy in Dogs? Evidence from Brain Imaging. Even they weren't willing to call it confirmed. 5 years before Harris ran her experiment, researcher Friedrich Range at the University of Vienna had already found something adjacent. 2 dogs, side by side, were given identical tasks. One got a reward. The other got nothing for the exact same effort. The unrewarded dog didn't just keep trying. It stopped. It looked away. Not because it failed a task, but because of the unequal treatment itself. Charles Darwin noticed this over a century and a half before any of these studies existed. He wrote about jealousy in dogs in 1871 and described almost exactly what Harris would go on to measure. Here's the part that makes the fMRI scan look almost quaint. In 2021, Amalia Bastos at the University of Auckland ran an experiment that didn't need a brain scanner at all. 18 dogs watched their owner sit close to a realistic fake rival dog. Then the researchers put up a physical barrier, completely blocking the dog's view. The owner kept petting the fake dog, now hidden on the other side. The dogs pulled toward their owner with real measurable force. When the same setup used a plain fleece cylinder instead of a rival, the pulling barely registered. The dogs weren't reacting to what they could see. They couldn't see anything. They were reacting to what they knew was still happening behind that barrier. Why would jealousy evolve in a dog at all? Emotions don't show up in a species by accident. They show up because they serve a function. Harris herself put it directly. Jealousy evolved to protect social bonds from being disrupted by outside threats. Dogs have lived alongside humans for over 15,000 years. In that span, the bond with their person became the single most valuable resource in the world, more important than territory, more reliable than food. You're not just someone your dog loves, you are safety, you are stability, you are survival. Anything that appears to compete for that attention activates an old, real alarm system. The more bonded the dog, Harris found, the stronger the response. So when your dog climbs onto your lap during a video call, or positions himself between you and someone new in the house, he isn't misbehaving. He's running a response that has been shaped across thousands of generations to protect the most important relationship in his life. None of this tells us what it's like to be the dog doing it. Harris can document the pushing. Cook and Burns can watch the amygdala light up. Neither one can tell you if there's anything happening behind it that resembles what you'd call feeling. Whether that's jealousy the way you'd feel it, or something older and simpler wearing the same behavior, is the question none of this research has settled. Thanks for watching. If this one stayed with you, hit subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. See you in the next one.